Before I get started, I want to take a second to just really acknowledge the protests going on right now. This is the largest wave of protest since the civil rights, 1960s. That's a half a century ago. So now I know the protests haven't been perfect, but no one can argue that they haven't had the effect of pushing police reform on the top of the agenda of lawmakers. Now, the reason why that's important is because you see the elephant in the room is that, and I guess the donkey too, the elephant being the Republicans and the donkey being the Democrats. For many years, these two parties have been extremely reluctant to criticize police departments or police unions. And that's because the Republicans see themselves as the law and order party, and the Democrats as the pro-union party, pro-labor, and that's led to this quasi-immunity where nothing really major gets done in terms of police reform. That's the reason why we're in this mess in terms of no major police reform legislation getting passed. Even since Eric Gardner, where the first I Can't Breathe happened 6 years ago. And now that quasi-immunity that law enforcement has had all this time, it's eroding as a result of, video evidence surfacing that shows excessive use of force, data that supports that discriminatory practices are being conducted by different police departments in different cities, and the match that sparked these protests, the death of George Floyd. So both parties are finally talking about police reform. President Trump passed an executive order that changes certain policies and just really push his attorney general to really get police reform on his agenda. And also the Democrats pushed for the Justice and Policing Act, which was spearheaded by Senators Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, along with the help of other House representatives. The Republican aisle, Tim Scott, took the charge for drafting the bill, the Justice Act. Now, Tim Scott is the only Republican black senator, and Kamala Harris and Cory Booker are the only Democratic black senators. So that makes 3 in total, and that's 3 out of 100. I need more hands. That's 3% of the Senate, guys. That's bad. Now, before I get to the details, it's just really important to consider the politics because, these bills are drafts and they haven't been held for a vote yet. And there's a chance that neither will yet, and I'll get to that in a little bit. The Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is accusing a Democratic bill of overreach. And, unfortunately, this is the same guy who controls what bills can even be brought to a vote. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has already said he's not considering the Justice and Policing Act bill. Now, this is the same guy that can control what's even brought to a vote in the Senate. So if he doesn't approve what's brought for a vote, then nothing, the bill goes nowhere. It's dead. So he's already said to the Democratic leaders, listen, if you don't vote for Tim Scott's bill, you ain't getting shit, pretty much. Or you ain't getting shit within the next week, because if you take that risk, that's going to take a long time of negotiations, and there's protests going on right now, and don't you want to address the protests? Don't you want to give them something right now? Don't you want to take this bait right now? And again, it's like this is my cynical mind on Mitch McConnell, and if you say the word politician, I think, like a typical stereotypical politician, mastermind, evil mastermind, I think Mitch McConnell. But he's been playing politics like this for years. Here's his office number if you want to, reach his office and say, listen, negotiate. Now, in order to pass any bill, the House of Representatives and the Senate needs to both pass it. The House of Representatives has a lesser standard. They just need a simple majority, meaning 51% of the House needs to vote on it. And since the Democrats have a majority in the House, then they can pass it pretty rapidly. But in the Senate, it's a little bit of a different story. In the Senate, you need 60 out of 100 Senate votes to pass a bill. And right now, the Republicans only have 53 Senate Republicans, and meaning that they need 7 Democratic senators to vote with them in order to pass the bill. So automatically, any police reform bill is going to need bipartisan support. So that's where the Democrats have some leverage, and that's where I think Democrats might decide, like, we're going to negotiate this. We're going to hold the line, and we're going to get a bill together. We're going to add some more things to Tim Scott's bill that we like, and we're going to pass it maybe sometime mid-July. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's what's likely. It's possible the Democrats decide to just say Tim Scott's bill is good enough for now. Maybe we'll try to negotiate something later, which I think Mitch McConnell's, not going to want to do later on. I think he's going to just settle on Tim Scott's bill if it passes and say, we're done, hands clean. Now, that's a little bit of background just so you can get an understanding of, how realistic these bills are in getting passed. But the good thing is that at a minimum, Tim Scott, whatever's in Tim Scott's bill, we are going to see in a final bill, and it's going to be passed eventually. So at a minimum, this is what we should expect to see in any final bill. And possibly if they negotiate, the Democrats might sprinkle a little bit more of stuff, and we'll see a final form maybe leaning towards mostly whatever's in Tim Scott's bill, maybe with a little bit of pluses. And as always, I appreciate your views. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.